decided not to do it.
The Philadelphia Eagles heading to the nation's capital to celebrate their Super Bowl win over the Chiefs.
The team is set to meet with President Donald Trump at the White House later this afternoon. There is some uncertainty about which play.
Before we finish with that, y'all, I told y'all, man, Philadelphia, man, they part of the go along, get along, man. Not all of them, man, but Jalen Hurts, man, you shows no leadership. The youth looking at you. You their role model. And in spite your differences in politics, so now you want to play politics now, right? You went from a football player, a quarterback, to wanting to play motherfucking politics now, right? That's what you want to do? Huh? You want to play politics now, nigga? You want to play politics. Man, you supposed to put your differences to the side. The kids is looking at you, man. You understand me? You supposed to be setting some type of example. You understand? Not playing politics. Not playing politics. But it goes to show you, your wife must be pulling your strings. Your wife probably said, you better not go to that Super Bowl thing at the White House. Goes to show you who wearing the drawers around your crib, Jalen Hurts. That's embarrassing, man. You couldn't even show support for your teammates, man. You supposed to be the leader. You supposed to be the leader of the team. And you playing part of the go along, get along game. Shows a whole lot about your character, my friend. Shows a whole lot about your character. But that's all good, though. Shout out to the players who did attend it. Showing leadership. The youth. It's the youth. It's about the youth. It's their future. He could have been turned. No leadership, Jalen Hurts. What a disgrace in you. A disgrace in you. And not only that, that was history. That was history being recorded. Nigga, you could have been part of history, but you rather let your wife tell you you better not go to that White House showdown. I need a car for 300, Mel.
Huh?
I need a car for 300.
300? I got one for 299.
Know what I'm saying? Jalen Hurts. Show no true leadership. You a dud, nigga. You a dud, nigga. And no, Saquon Barkley ain't no house, nigga. He only did which is right. As a professional athlete, he put his differences to the side and he acted professional. Like some of y'all cats don't act. You understand me? So, 21 gun salute to Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, 21 gun salute. Jalen Hurts, eat a Frank, nigga. Facts, eat a Frank, nigga. Let your girl run your life. Let them females dictate your life. Huh. You the real house, nigga. Saquon cool. It shows common sense that was history being recorded, nigga.
This afternoon, there is some uncertainty about which players are making the trip, but one of the team's biggest stars is already there.
Action News Sports Director Deuces Rogers joins us now live from the White House with a preview of today's ceremony. Hi, Deuces.
Hey there, Sarah and Alicia. Yes, we cannot get enough of that Eagles Super Bowl victory, and the Eagles get yet another chance to celebrate that today. They will take part in today's ceremony at the White House. It'll put a bow on the 2024 season as they take part in that time-honored tradition of having the president welcome them here to the White House and congratulate them in person. Now, you mentioned there's been some talk as to which Eagles players will attend today's event. Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Eagles, said a few months ago that this is an optional event, that it's up to the individual player if they want to come to this event or not. One player that we do know that is already here is Saquon Barkley. Over the weekend, the Eagles running back actually golfed with President Trump at his country club in Bedminster, New Jersey. Then Barkley flew here to D.C. with the president aboard Marine One. Barkley took some heat on social media about this, as you can imagine. He responded this morning with a tweet that essentially said this is not about politics, it's about respecting the office.
Grow the fuck up. Half y'all need to grow the fuck up and stop letting people dictate your life. Because that's all y'all doing, especially you beta male ass males that's out there. Jalen Hurts, you just showed us you's a beta male ass nigga. Facts. Your strings was being pulled by females, nigga. That's what that showed. Beta male ass nigga.
Of the president. We are, of course, here to celebrate the Super Bowl championship team. The president actually saw a lot of the game firsthand as the Eagles destroyed the Chiefs 40-22 in Super Bowl 59 down in New Orleans.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you learn something from this?
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I gotta tell you guys, this picture that we're looking at right here has a whole lot of people upset, okay? People are angry. They're melting down over Eagles running back, Super Bowl champion, Saquon Barkley hanging out with President Trump, okay? He spent part of this weekend with President Trump at the Trump National Golf Club, and he's just chilling, right? He's just hanging out with the boys, right? That's what they're doing, okay? Just chilling. And for whatever reason, liberals will lose their minds, specifically black liberals, okay? They are really, really, really upset with Saquon for hanging out with President Trump. Take a look.
Well, now we know Saquon will definitely be at the White House tomorrow. Here he is hanging out with Donald Trump a day before the Eagles make their official championship visit to the White House. Visit to the White House. When he was posted up with Ivanka Trump a couple weeks ago and I posted about it, a lot of you try to tell me he was just being cordial. Nah, like I said, we know what he is. Like, going to the White House is one thing, which, don't get me wrong, still disgusting, but the fact that he's hanging out with him the day before, okay, we see you.
Saquon Barkley, I'm starting to notice, brother, listen, Eagles will be, apparently from what I know, will be going to the White House Monday. That's tomorrow, right? Some players are going to be there, some players won't. But Saquon Barkley, you're taking it to the next level, brother. Show me enough with Psycho T over here. I will say this to Saquon Barkley, is that understand that a lot of people are going to feel how I feel. I actually got my Eagles shirt on right now, I just remembered. But which is, this isn't about, can a guy just be conservative? Can he be a Republican? This isn't normal to a lot of people. This person, to a lot of people, is going to be on the wrong side of history. I'm one of those people.
You know what's funny about this whole situation? A lot of people are very upset with Saquon. I'm not upset. You know why I'm not upset? Because he's that type of bro. I don't expect Saquon's weird ass to be in our corner for anything, ever. When has he ever shown that he was that type? Y'all gotta remember, bro, he's with the white woman that said all the N-words and shit and took no accountability, ever. Listen, bro, in a world of Saquon Barkley's, be a Jalen Hurts. Just be a Jalen Hurts. It's not that hard. But when you come from where Saquon comes from, you can't expect him to take a social justice stance. He don't have that bone in him. I know y'all remember seeing them videos of Saquon when he was at Penn State at the frat type parties. The only thing black about this is his skin. That's it.
Yeah, see, now you heard that. That is the liberal-loving, anti-racist left, right? That is the tolerance that I'm told exists on the left. Or really, it is intolerance, right? It is racism. It is hate. It is bigotry. Because they're essentially stripping Saquon Barkley of his race card, right? Because of his political affiliations, right? Because he likes to golf with President Trump. They're saying that this dude is not black. He's not black. This is what they're saying. But hanging out with the president. This is the left. This is the modern day left. If you are a black person and you decide that you want to support President Trump or a Republican, this is what they think about you. This is what they will say about you. Because as a black person, apparently you can only support Democrats, right? Democrats only, or else you're not really black, okay? And these are the same people that will turn around and accuse everybody else that doesn't agree with them of selling out, right? Or being some type of racial slur, right? Or being some type of minstrel show, when the real minstrel show are the performative pro-blacks who tap dance every single time they see a black person who doesn't want to support the Democrat Party. There's a whole economy of race hustlers on YouTube whose channels are solely dedicated to hating on black conservatives, right? A black conservative is successful, these people lose their minds, right? Again, they start tap dancing immediately, right? Sell out racial slurs, try to get you back on the plantation, right? For massa, right? For the white liberal man, okay? The white liberals say, hey, go get him back, right? Go bring that black conservative back to the plantation, right? This is
like they did Kunta Kinte. They chased him down. It was niggas. I told y'all it was niggas that chased Kunta Kinte down. The European man couldn't run that fast. Nah, man, that's what it was.
what they do every single time. This is what we're witnessing, okay? With Saquon Barkley. So Saquon made the mistake of trying to explain himself to these people, okay? He put out a post saying, LOL, some people are really upset because I played golf and flew to the White House with the president. Maybe I just respect the office. Not a hard concept to understand. No, it is a hard concept because these people are not high IQ people, right? We're not dealing with sophisticated thinkers. Right. I've learned that over the last 3 or 4 weeks. That again, we're just not dealing with the brightest people. Just golfed with Barack Obama not too long ago and look forward to finishing my round with Trump. Now, y'all get out my mentions with all this politics and have an amazing day. Yeah, so Saquon has responded. And the pro-blacks are really upset with Saquon's response because they are accusing him of selling out, as they always do. They're doing the tap dance.
And this is what he had to say about all the backlash. And I think it's so tone deaf. It's so stupid. But when you're rich and you that type guy, you're just out of touch. He said, get out of my mentions with the politics. You goofy ass, you the one that inserted yourself into politics by doing what you did. I just think it's really funny that people were expecting more from him because he's just Pat Mahomes. The same guy, Pat Mahomes, who just talk about how his hair is nappy. Like,
all right, so listen up. State Farm was trying to charge me $197 for car insurance. No, thank you. I got a friend who told me about this web.
Come on, bro.
You mean to tell me Saquon's response to people criticizing him for hanging with Trump was that he hung out with Obama? All right. Don't try to compare Trump and Obama just because they're presidents. Trump is at 30 levels near Obama. Don't do that shit. Secondly, I don't give a fuck if it's the president or not. You're not finna pay me. There's no amount of money or prestige or power you could bribe me with that would have me sitting next to a convicted felon and someone who's a blatant racist, misogynistic, homophobic asshole who deports legal U.S. citizens. Fuck you. That Super Bowl was a lose-lose situation. Real shit.
Sell out Barkley, please hush. You sold out faster than a chicken dinner after church on a Sunday. You sold out faster than Girl Scout cookies in front of a Walmart. And talking about trying to honor somebody's office is trying to erase your history is crazy. Yeah, your new name is going to be Barkley. And throwing Obama in there trying to bring validity to who you believe you are is very late.
Okay, so Saquon, this post shows that you just don't get it. Yeah, you respect the office of the president, but the person that holds the office of the president, does he respect the people? So he doesn't even respect the office. The things that he's done, not even in the first term, so we'll just X that out, but during this term so far in 99 days, should let you know that you shouldn't be standing behind this. And if you are seen with him, which we know was a photo op for him to show that, hey, I've got this black running back from the Eagles team that rides with me, that, you know.
At this point, y'all, the left, the liberals, y'all need to just go jump off the bridge at this point. What happened to the boy? Y'all ain't fighting for him no more, the illegal migrant? That's in El Salvador. Y'all ain't fighting for him no more? We get it. The whole world get it. Everything that Trump do, y'all are against. That shit tired.
Like, for example, Roland Martin, that decided to jump in his ass. You got to jump in his ass. Jump in his ass. His ass. You gotta push back immediately. Jump in his ass. Yeah, so that's what Roland decided to do to Saquon here in this post. In response to Saquon responding to the criticism, he says, well, Saquon, you should have told real President Donald Trump to respect other presidents, women, and others. Did you tell him how he disrespected the office by leading the January 6th insurrection? Did you tell him how he lied about the 2020 election being rigged? Be better informed, bruh. Yeah, so again, these people are losing their minds. Okay, we have Jemele Hill, who is basically celebrating Jalen Hurts deciding not to participate, which is fine, right? Nobody's hurt by it. He was asked about this recently.
Are you planning on visiting the White House next week?
Yeah, so again, very awkward response. And if he doesn't want to go, fine. Am I going to boohoo, whine, and cry and say he's not black, right? Or he's not, I don't know, invited to the cookout? He's a race traitor because he doesn't want to visit Trump? Or what? Am I going to say he's selling out for the Democrat Party, right? I'm not going to say any of these things, okay? Like, if he doesn't want to go, he doesn't want to go. He may be Trump deranged, just fine, right? But am I going to get... No, the people that want to go, and the people that don't want to go, they just don't want to go. Again, that is how people should see this in a normal world, right? In a normal world, if you see an athlete, celebrity, somebody hanging out with the president, is like, am I really going to cry about it? Like, it don't really matter that much. Again, these people were boohoo, whine, and cry about Bill Maher having dinner with President Trump, right? They basically compared it to having dinner with Hitler. Right, so they're gonna be saying that Saquon, he was golfing with Hitler, right? Saquon was golfing with Hitler. This is basically how they're framing this. This is how they're framing it.
Crazy, man.
These people are pathetic. I would hate to be a liberal, to be this miserable. How can you be so miserable? Your life must be so bad. You must be so unhappy. If you're so mad and upset that you're going to try to strip a man of his identity, right, over politics, it's sad. It really is. So Jemele Hill, she says, if Saquon Barkley is able to voice he's visiting with the president because he respects the office, then Jalen Hurts should be able to say they don't want to go because they object to the president. If it's scheduling conflicts, totally fine. If it's not, they should be afforded that same right of disagreement or based off their own morality. Listen, if Jalen Hurts comes out here and says that he objects to meeting with the president, that's why he's not going, instead of a scheduling conflict, this is what they're all saying, which I automatically just took as, okay, well, they just don't want to go. And that's their choice, right? That's their freedom, okay? But Jemele Hill is trying to project that onto them, right? She's saying that they object to the president, and that is why they're not going. I don't know if that's actually the case, but if they do feel that way, there's nothing stopping them from voicing that objection, right? Because that is the popular thing to do nowadays, right? On the left, okay, if you want to be a left-wing hero, is to say how much you hate the president. So again, it's not like it's going to cost him anything. He's not going to lose any endorsements. Maybe he just doesn't want to be involved in politics. Maybe, just maybe,
Jalen Hurts understands that, okay, if I go to the White House and I celebrate my Super Bowl victory with the president, which is something that teams traditionally do, then the pro-black mob is going to be upset, right? They're going to be doing the exact same thing that they're doing to Saquon Barkley. So it's just better for me to stay away because I just don't want to deal with the drama. Because conservatives, we're not going to lose our minds over Jalen Hurts refusing to go. We're just going to be like, okay, well, you don't want to go. It is what it is, right? Too bad, so sad. But, I'm not going to cry about it, right? It is what it is. That's how conservatives look at it, right? We don't care, right? We're going to celebrate the people who actually do show up, who want to celebrate the Super Bowl with the president, right? That's the only thing that matters to us. But again, to these people, everything has to be a political statement, right? Everything has to be a political statement. These athletes have to actively be anti-Trump, right? And that's why Jemele Hill is framing this the way that she is. She's trying to essentially put words in their mouths by saying that they object, okay? Because again, nobody is stopping them from saying that, right? They can come out and say why they don't want to go, right? And there are not going to be any consequences, okay, to be honest with you. But they're just saying they have scheduling conflicts. And, it is what it is. I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm not going to look too deep into it. I really don't give a damn, okay? It really is about the people that want to be there, the people that want to celebrate, and that's it, right? And I don't think that Saquon should be attacked for hanging out with the president, right? I mean, it's just very sad to see how tribal some people have become in this country. And, it just never seems to stop. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective.
They little kids, man. That's all they are, little kids, man. Where's Seti at? Seti did a video on the Masons, the Freemasons riding that goat. Hold on. He just did a video on that last night. Shout out to General Seti. Let's get into it.
All right, family. The General, we live, man. We got a Patreon preview of some fire that's coming up.
Yeah, talk your shit,
I
King.
want you in the house. I want
Shoot
you
your
to
advertisements.
right there in the chat at the top. I want you to click it. I want you to be in the house. Anytime you come to my Patreon, we got five levels, and it's any level you join, it's a treasure under that level. There's no level. The General always feed the people. You feel what I'm saying? So it's five. But when you talk about these mind blowing, this is 2025. You see, and goddamn it, you supposed to be with the advanced level, and I had to take it to the advanced level because, people's out here, they are haters. And when you get to touching on information like this right here, you feel what I'm saying?
No bullshit.
People get upset.
Getting that feeling.
People get upset. So that's why I had to do it this way. You feel what I'm saying? Who's riding the goat? The perverted origins of Freemasons. Yeah, we see what's going on.
Where you
right
at,
now.
ZX?
We see what's going on. All these niggas is Freemasons.
ZX, where you at, nigga?
And they all perverted. Every last
Come on up in here and get
every
scooped real
last
quick,
one of them,
nigga.
don't you dare think it, that is any
General
other
gonna
way
school
than what
me,
the
nigga.
General
Come on
would
up in
tell
here and get some lessons.
you see, but you got to go off into
Calling
this
ZX
brotherhood.
out. Come on out, ZX.
You see?
Come from behind that
into this brotherhood.
veil,
and
nigga.
you got to look at the little
Come from
junior
behind that veil,
varsity
ZX.
groups, like
Stop
the,
that foolishness,
the
brother.
Frats and the Soros. And,
You're a good brother,
they
man.
got the
Come on up
little
out of that
junior
foolishness.
varsity
Denounce it,
groups,
man.
But they give them, a little bit of, but that's where they showing, how perverted and how demonic they is, even at that level, at that level. But this is crazy because the motto is who's riding the goat. But the question is, are you riding the goat or is the goat riding you? You see, you're in there.
That's the question.
I done put up many in to
That's
show
the question.
that,
you ride the goat or is the goat ride
Alex the
you?
Crowd.
Yeah.
Sickest man, the sickest man, not the sick, the wickedest man
Wickedest man.
that ever
he
lived.
said.
That's what his mama coined the term. His mama
Bullshit.
coined the term. The wickedest man.
And Anton Levy. Levy.
He was a
Anton
33rd
Levy too.
degree Freemason.
Anton Levy.
All that in, but they got,
Albert
it's
Pike.
already coming with that.
I forgot the other dude name.
They don't want to
Claude,
talk about
some
all
shit.
them kind of cats that was in Freemasonry, and they all, doing all type of demonic rituals and shit.
Facts.
Yeah, you can look Alex the Crowley up, and you can see him with all his regalia on,
Yeah.
and he tell you that the
Representing.
motherfuckers in the is it Scottish Rite, York Rite?
Lucifer is
got
God.
the Baphomet
Yeah.
symbol on their hat.
It say Lucifer is
The
God.
Baphomet. Alex the Crowley opened it up on their hat.
Albert Pike said that from the Freemasons.
What's that motherfucker that wrote the Morals and Dogma? Albert Pike.
Albie Al.
Sitting in there with the Baphomet symbol.
Albie Al.
He's sitting up in the chair with
We
the
introduced y'all to Albert Pike. If y'all ain't introduced to him, scroll down on the videos. Y'all see a video of him up there.
Lucifer is God. That's what Albert Pike
Said.
what's the other motherfucker?
The Eastern Stars, all that shit.
They consider him Manly P. Hall. Manly P. Hall. He also was Luciferian. So these
All that shit is
motherfuckers
demonic,
worship
man.
Lucifer. This is a reality.
Reality.
See, when when I was coming out on these cats and peeling back, that
Layers.
occult shit that they was in, people say, nah, you can see all the top motherfuckers. They knocking them on the head.
Bullshit.
Yeah,
Real shit.
they in the in crowd with that bullshit. They in the in crowd with that bullshit up there, all out there, putting up the Baphomet sign, and people say, oh, what is that? What is that? And so I had to show motherfucker, what it is. People don't even know about that one that they call the Kiss of Shame. The Kiss of Shame. In that witchcraft shit. And that's the white boy, Jim Carrey, had put he had put it out there. When they be putting that symbol up there, which is a Jewish symbol, but in Masonry they let you know. They listen, and Jim Carrey put it up there and put his tongue through it to let you know. You understand what I'm saying? And then I went and showed you the Kiss of Shame, where when the witch is initiated, they had to, you understand? They had to kiss the devil in the ass. Somebody got to tell you this shit. You see what I'm saying? That somebody got to tell you this shit. And so even when you talk about the goat, but I always didn't told that been one of they
Number one go-to.
the most premier zoo type is the goddamn across the board. Since all the way since the days of Rome and goddamn Greece, that shit done carried down with the elite of the European world, And so they got this. That's why I had to touch on y'all with Saturn, and I'ma still touch on it, which is the dual personalities. You got Pan, the goat, and then you got Saturn. So when you come into December, you will see that Capricorn is in the house of Saturn. So they are dual personalities. You see the two sides of the same coin. Okay, two sides. So when you talk about Pan, which is anytime you see any manifestation of the goat in the European world, it is only an archetype of Pan. Not Lucifer, not all of them, Lucifer, Baphomet, and the Capricorn and all of that. Those are archetypes of Pan, the primordial goat god. You see, every other god is only a manifestation of Pan. And so when you get in there with Pan and you get into that Greek mythology and shit, you see where, how he's a deviant motherfucker.
The 12-month calendar is a Greek calendar that we found.
You see what I'm saying? So many times when you get in there and you see the goat, the Pan, you see him then strong arm a woman carrying her off some damn way. And so that way you get where you get horny goat weed and shit and all that. He's a deviant. He's a deviant. And so you get, and so when you get is carnal when he lust. Yeah, they see they fucking with went in and out. Make sure my internet So they look up his nature. They say it's carnal. You see the way which means he's they say he's lewd. You see salacious. You know what I'm saying? That he's a vulgar motherfucker. Salacious, lewd, carnal. And that's where you get carnival from. Motherfuckers want to say that's what it is, because the first carnival was Saturnalia. You understand? Where they come out and, be all out in the streets and shit, drunk, naked, pissing all in the street. You understand? Touching on peoples and shit and all, just wow. And so everything that you see today is only a manifestation of Saturnalia. You understand what I'm saying? And so any festival or any of that, Pan is, he's the one that energizes, you understand, when it comes to the lewdness. And then you have Bacchus and see, and when it comes to that carnival, Bacchus and Pan they like, you understand, again, that's another duality. You have Saturn and Pan, and then you have Bacchus and Pan. And Bacchus was the god of wine, and so with Bacchus being the god of wine, then you got Pan. You understand what I'm saying? Who bring that lewd, salacious, vulgar behavior. That's what breathe the life into the carnal. You see, and that's why a lot of people ban that shit. That's why they sacrifice the goat. You know what I'm saying? God, and they say, sacrifice me a goat. And so why is it that, you into, and people don't know, I'm going to blow your mind. I'm going to show you right over there in Israel, that they had temples to Pan over in Israel. BC, they had temples over there before Christ. They were already venerated. It's still over there. You could go over there and visit it right now. And they had a grotto. They got a cave over there. They call it the gate to hell. But when you go down right next to his, you had I think you might have had Pan. I think you had Zeus. But damn near, it was like 3 or 4 temples in this area. In Israel right now. And there's a lot of people that go over there and see it. A lot of it was dedicated to Pan. And like I said, they got this grotto over there, a cave. When you go down in it, they had, altars down there. And so they go down into the grotto and, they doing all these damn rituals over there. But that was over there before Jesus. I'm not saying he was even alive, but I'm saying he was in the BC era. So they were already venerating Pan over in Israel before the birth of Jesus. These is facts. So they've been into that. That's why they Shabbat is on Saturday. You see, because they were already, and I went over that and tried to break that down for y'all. So when we talk about the Jews and they control banks, you see what I'm saying? The Knights Templar, and they control the money, even during the medieval period. You know what I'm saying? And how but if you go back into Rome, that the Temple of Saturn was the treasury. That's where they kept the money. That's where they printed, not printed, but that's where they made the coins in the Temple of Saturn. So the college of priests that ran the Temple of Saturn was in the ancient world the Jews and the Knights Templars of today. They continue down in that respect. And see, a lot of people say, man, I had to show them. When you go over there to Britain, this is all about, and over there they got that Grand Lodge. But as a matter of fact, let me run that down, because man, I can't wait till tomorrow where I can show y'all the vision. You got London, and then you got the city of London, okay? Which is two different cities. You got the bigger London, which everybody know, but then you got the city of London. And the city of London was the area when the Romans colonized that area. The city of London is actually where the Romans actually inhabited that area. That's where they set up shop, put all their temples, or their living quarters. You see what I'm saying? And so that's a whole separate entity from London. The city of London is like the Vatican. It's its own principality. You see what I'm saying? Within a city. It's its own. And in that small area is all the major banks in the world in the city of London. Even the Grand Lodge of Freemasonry is in the city of London. The fucking like they financial market is in the city of London. The Bank of the Rothschilds is in the city of London. You see, in the city of London. And so, I'm gonna show you that they have been venerating Pan and Saturn over there in the city of London when the Romans was there. You see, and so they brought that Saturn, the treasury and things. And so today, exactly where the Romans was is where they continuing to the great financial districts of the world, right there, the city of goddamn London. Built on the Temple of Saturn. The same system that came out of Rome is in there today. You see? And so when I break this down, we're going to break this shit down tomorrow. And I want you in the house. I already got it locked and loaded. The link right there in the chat, all you have to do is click it. This is on this one right here is on the advanced level. And I'm going to tell you why, because I did the making of the white man. If you motherfuckers that come in and, and they be trying to, flag shit and this, that, and the third. And so I had to take it up there where I know motherfuckers can handle this shit. You know what I'm saying? If you cannot handle it, then don't stay the fuck on. Don't come. Because this is not for no, this is facts. And if you scared of the truth, you need to stay your motherfucking ass where you at. This is high profile information. Ain't nobody giving it up like this no more. You see what I'm saying? The day you came, back in the day when you had the Dr. Ben, the Dr. Clark, all the great master teachers, and you could get lectures from everybody. You see, there ain't nobody doing that but the general today. That's facts. Not on no level like how these niggas talking bullshit. They ain't dealing with the code. They ain't dealing with nothing like this. Not on this level. The niggas out here that's talking about the code, they trying to be with the Crow man. They trying to be with the Luciferians. You see what I'm saying? This is the brotherhood of the Nile Valley. We coming on the maps. We coming from the Nile. You feel what I'm saying? We ain't coming on that goat shit. You know what I'm saying? We rams, nigga. We ain't goats. We rams. You see? Yeah, the ram is a sheep. He ain't no damn goat. You feel what I'm saying? That's the woolly head. Zoo type. You feel what I'm saying? Get on over there, family. We'll do I got a preview on why ice people never worship sun god.
My man General said it. See what else I got for you heathens. That's two.
Veterans, are you underrated by the VA for your disability and think your medical conditions may warrant a higher rating? Many veterans struggle to prove that their medical conditions are connected to their service, which can mean a lower VA disability rating than they may be eligible for. That's where medical evidence experts come in. They help identify overlooked conditions and provide medical evidence services to support your pursuit of benefits. Don't miss out on the benefits you may be eligible for. Click the button below to get started.
Or the unfair targeting of Canada while he's lifting tariffs and backing down on tariffs all around the world. He continues to tariff our auto sector. There's nobody who's going to be able to control President Trump, as Mr. Carney is learning, despite his, no, I don't consider the Americans to be a reliable trade partner right now. Their president has chosen to betray America's best friend and closest ally. I'm saddened to say that because I love the American people, but there's no denying that there is a president right now who consistently betrays the Canadian people and shows that he has been unreliable to deal with.
A few moments later.
So I would like to congratulate Prime Minister Carney on leading this minority government. We'll have plenty of opportunity to debate and disagree, but tonight we come together as Canadians. We will do our job. Yes, we will do our job to hold the government to account. But first, we congratulate people from all political backgrounds on participating in the democratic process. And as I said, while we will do our constitutional duty of holding government to account and proposing better alternatives, we will always put Canada first.
Boy, 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 boy. Oh, Canada. Okay, we got to talk about the elections, the national elections that happened last night. And the Liberal Party has won, right? They're going to remain in power. Okay, and you have Mark Carney, who is the globalist that took over for Justin Trudeau. He is going to remain Prime Minister. Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservative Party, a party at one point that was absolutely dominating in the polls. Okay, this guy was basically going to walk into office at one point, but he lost his seat personally, right? He personally lost his own seat. That's how bad he was humiliated last night. Take a look.
And what CBC News has just projected just a very short time ago, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has been defeated in the riding he held for 20 years. This is the riding of Carleton. Liberal Bruce Fanjoy has won, and CBC News, there you see, has just projected a Liberal victory in Carleton. So let's look at the meaning of all of that, both for the party and for Pierre Poilievre's own political future.
Yeah, this is such a dramatic narrative. This is someone who had a commanding control over his party, a commanding lead in the public opinion polls, and now doesn't even have a seat in the House of Commons. It wouldn't have been unexpected, perhaps, for him to even consider resigning after this turn of events. And yet, in his speech last night, Pierre Poilievre was actually, to a certain extent, declaring victory. Take a listen.
Conservatives have achieved major breakthroughs tonight. We brought in record support from blue-collar and unionized workers, youth, new Canadians. We gave voices to countless people across this country who've been left out and left behind for far too long. We won the big debates of our time on the carbon tax, on inflation, on housing, on the drug crisis, on crime. Conservatives have been leading the debate, and we will continue to put forward the best arguments to improve the lives of our people right across this country. But we will not stop there. Every single day, our Conservative caucus and I will be holding the government to account on behalf of the millions of Canadians who believed in the message of change.
Yeah, so that is pretty humiliating, okay? And I like the guy. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was hoping that he would win, but I think that he kind of dug his own grave when he decided to make the election about Trump and not about the Liberal Party, right? Not about the disaster that Canada has went through under the last 4 years of Justin Trudeau, when you talk about mass illegal immigration into the country, rising prices, inflation, the lockdowns that happened in Canada. You guys remember the freedom protests. Yeah, all of these things happened under the Liberal government. And instead of continuing to make the election about that, which is why he gained the lead in the first place, as soon as Trump gets into office and there is a bit of an issue when it comes to trade between the United States and Canada, this guy basically went full-blown anti-Trump.
Always be a sovereign, independent nation. We will never be the 51st state. We will always be proudly Canadian, and we will fight for the Canadian promise. And I once again say to Donald Trump, why would you go after these people? These are great Canadian people. American workers, just like him, are going to lose jobs if this continuing trade war insanity goes on. There is no good reason to do this to these good people. Stop the tariffs, stop the chaos. Let's solve this problem. Yesterday, the president said that having a Liberal prime minister would be easier for him to deal with, just as he threatened once again to make us the 51st state. And you know what? On that point, it's true. I'm a strong leader. I'm a tough guy to deal with. I'm firm in my convictions, and I'll always put Canada first. President Trump stabbed America's best friend in the back. My message to the president is this: Canada will fight back. We will defend our people and our economy, and we will put Canada first. There's no doubt that our economy will suffer, but so will yours, President Trump. In fact, you're already paying the price, with trillions of dollars erased in stock market value over the last month of these threats. Already Americans are paying higher gas prices as at midnight, a new American gas tax kicked in on U.S. working class taxpayers and motorists. Your workers will soon start losing jobs they had upgrading Canadian raw materials, which, by the way, you were getting at an incredible and ridiculous bargain.
But a lot of people are blaming Trump because President Trump didn't really care that the Conservative Party started to lose when he decided that he wanted to renegotiate trade with Canada.
Just so you understand, we subsidize Canada, and I like Canada. I love Canada. I love Wayne
now
Gretzky.
the Liberal guys,
I love his wife.
the Liberal Party is going to win now in the next election, most likely. And they were on down and out. Isn't that going to make them more hostile to us and possibly open the door for China closer to Canada? And that would really put us in a bind.
The conservative that's running is stupidly no friend of mine. I don't know him, but he said negative things. So when he says negative things, I couldn't care less. I think it's easier to deal actually with a Liberal. And maybe they're going to win, but I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me at all.
So your end game is what with them?
My end game is I don't want to have a big deficit. I don't want to see the United States of America, and you say 60 and I say 200, but it doesn't matter. I don't want us to pay 60 or 200 billion dollars to a country that if they were a state, think of this, it would be our biggest, most beautiful, it would be great.
DraftKings Casino app. It's got something for everyone. Like tons of slots. Winner, early bird dinner. Table games. Double down. Even DraftKings Casino exclusives. Hart. Kevin Hart. Plus jackpots on all your favorite games.
What about these motherfuckers?
Just get the big one. New players play $5 and get 350 casino spins instantly on a
Look at this. It would be our biggest, most beautiful. It would be great.
Yeah, so again, this is extremely fascinating, right? Because you have President Trump come out and say, hey, you know what? I don't care who wins. I would rather work with the liberal anyways, right? They're easier to deal with, which I think he kind of has a point because let's be honest, conservative in Canada and also the UK as well too, Europe in general, is just Democrat Party here in the United States of America, right? It's like liberal light, except it really is just liberal, right? And the liberals in these countries are like progressives, right? They're like socialists. So I kind of understand where the president's coming from in the sense that it probably didn't make a difference to him in regards to who he was dealing with. And I just had a feeling when Pierre Poilievre first started coming out and attacking the president, okay, over the tariffs, I had a feeling that things wouldn't work out well, okay, because Pierre Poilievre was kind of riding the Trump train, right, going into this election, going into this year, he was riding the Trump train, okay, and he was seen as Canada's Trump, right, that's their version of Trump, and to come out and to start attacking Trump instead of making the election about, okay, how can we work with the president? What can we do to work with the president in order to have the best solution for both countries, right? So that we can have a stronger partnership, which I think would have been a wiser approach. No, again, he went full-blown anti-Trump because, you know, Canada probably hates Trump, right? A lot of liberals in that country hate Trump. It is a liberal country, an extremely liberal country. And if you're going to make the election about F Trump, then you're not going to out F Trump with the liberals, okay? Because the liberals have always been anti-Trump. Again, this guy was kind of riding the Trump movement train leading up until Trump got in office, and to now all of a sudden do this kind of 180. I just don't think it was a good look, right? I think that's part of the reason why he lost his own seat, right? And I think it really reflects more on his leadership and his work ethic than it does on President Trump. Because again, a lot of people are just blaming Trump, but I don't think that he lost because of Trump. I think he lost because ultimately he wasn't that great. And when you look at the breakdown of the polls, right, the issues that people care about, again, this guy was running as the change candidate, and he failed to get his base, to get the people on board with the change that he was speaking about.
Got a few thousand people. We're up around 7,000 right now. But David, just to show the viewers how it differs, just click on there on baby boomers.
Okay, so now we're saying this is all respondents. This is just people who are boomers. What do they think is the top issue?
Canada-U.S. relations. So you see one of the reasons why older people are voting for the Liberal Party. The Liberal Party is way ahead on this issue. They own it. And if you're a boomer, you're focused on it.
Okay, now you wanted to contrast with...
Let's talk to our friends in Gen Z.
Gen Z. What do they think is the top issue?
Affordability and cost of living. So when you look at... Yeah, and so when you look at the differences...
And that maps, sorry to interrupt, but that maps more to Poilievre's side of the equation.
Absolutely. This is time for a change, voters. Right. We're seeing some of them show up in Atlantic Canada tonight in a very efficient way so far. So that contrast on what people think this election is about, whether it's about Donald Trump in the U.S. or it's about their own affordability situation and what's going on in their own homes, that's what the race is about.
And once again, this is polling done as people left the polling booth today.
You know, yeah, so again, when you talk about the top issue, being affordability and the cost of living amongst the overall kind of electorate, right? And yes, you have a certain group of people, the boomers, that were, screw Trump, right? But regardless, when you talk about that being one of the top issues, again, this guy deciding to make his campaign about F Trump rather than focusing on how bad the liberals have been and the solutions that he has as a conservative, I really do believe that was his downfall, right? And there's also questions about his work ethic and whether or not Pierre Poilievre put in the work, and did he campaign as hard as he should have been campaigning, right? Or did Mark Carney, along with President Trump and the trade war, did that kind of throw him off, right? Did that make him kind of lose his juice? Regardless, I'm just saying that if he was really that guy, the foreign leader of another country should not be affecting whether or not you can win an election, right? I'm just saying, like, if he was really that guy. But, hey, I'm not trying to be too hard on Pierre. I'm just telling you guys that this whole, well, he lost because of Trump thing, I think it's kind of silly. I think ultimately he lost because he wasn't good enough. He just wasn't a great candidate, right? Even though I like the guy, ultimately, I just think towards the end, he failed to adjust in the right way to dealing with President Trump, and the liberals went all in on anti-Trump. And again, the conservatives, you weren't going to anti-Trump the liberals. So running on that, I think, was a big mistake. So without further ado, let's actually listen to a little bit of what Mark Carney has to say and some of the coverage in the media.
Breaking overnight this stunning political comeback thanks to and at the expense of President Trump. Canada's Liberal Party, led by Prime Minister Mark Carney, declared victory overnight despite being really left for dead several months ago. But then Donald Trump took office, targeted Canada with tariffs, and threatened to annex it as the 51st state.
You know what the best part about using the Stop Box Pro is that it's so easy to get into. You don't have to...
Do you have some HUD that just won't budge? Check this out. This is an insulin spiker. This is an insulin.
The first state.
America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. Never. But these are not idle threats. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never, ever happen.
That was the main campaign issue, and this is what Donald Trump has said about Canada over the last several months.
And we can't let them take advantage of the U.S. What I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state. Canada only works as a state. We don't need anything they have. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it between Canada and the U.S. If we make it in the United States, we don't need it to be made in Canada. We'll have the jobs. That's why Canada should be our 51st state. So when I say they should be a state, I mean that. I really mean that. Because we can't be expected to carry a country. I do like the...
Here's the thing about Trump wanting Canada to be a state, right? Politically speaking, Canada should not be a state, right? I don't want more liberals in the union, right? For obvious reasons, we do not need more liberals. But from an economic perspective, I kind of understand what President Trump is saying, and also from a national security perspective as well, too. Especially, again, when you look at some of these trade routes that are opening up in the north part of Canada around Greenland, it is in our best interest to control those shipping lanes, those trade routes, for military purposes. Yeah, it is in our best interest to have some control over that, right? It's also in our best interest to have access to Canada's abundant materials and resources. We can definitely use them more efficiently than Canada, right? It is in our best interest, I think, from an economic perspective, to bring Canada in, but from a political perspective, it would never work, right? It would be an absolute disaster. So I do understand what the president is saying, okay, from a national security standpoint and from an economic standpoint. But from a political standpoint, I think it's terrible, right? I think it would be absolutely terrible to have Canada as a part of the United States of America.
Canada, right? It's a beautiful thing. I think we're going to have to keep it for the 51st state. I call him Governor Trudeau.
Right, how decisive was President Trump in the Canadian election? Our friend Jonathan Martin at Politico heard from Republican Congressman Don Bacon overnight. Yes, Republican Congressman. Bacon told him, quote, "The Liberals in Canada were losing big until our president kept mocking Canadians, our neighbors and close friends. he made Canadian liberals great again.
Yeah, so again, here's the thing about that, right? Imagine voting for somebody based off hatred for a foreign leader, right? If you're voting for somebody based off hatred of a foreign leader rather than the performance of the individual or the party that they are part of, then that says more about the voter than it says about the foreign leader, right? It says that the voters clearly have a strong case of Trump derangement, right? I don't think I would ever vote for a United States president based off any other country's foreign leader, right? I'm voting for the president based off their performance and what they have done, right? What they can do for the country, okay? Not what some other country is saying or what some other country is doing. And Canada deciding to vote based off President Trump and the stuff that he's saying, to me, is just, it's insane, right? I mean, it speaks more about the voters than it does about President Trump, especially considering how much of a disaster that Canada has been, right? The reason why the conservative candidate was leading in the first place because Canada has been a disaster, okay? Being run by the liberals, it has become a complete and total disaster. And for them to just change because Trump is in office and Trump says things that they don't like. I mean, truths, to be honest with you, a lot of the stuff is just truths, okay? I mean, for as much as we subsidize Canada, they should be a state. Now, again, politically speaking, I've already talked about it. It doesn't work for me. But ultimately, if you're that offended to the point where you're going to vote for the party that has destroyed your country because you hate the president of the United States, then, hey, you kind of deserve what you get, right? I'm just saying. So, with that being said, Pierre Poilievre, not only did he lose, his party lost the election, but he also lost his own seat. And again, I think that kind of speaks more about him than it does about President Trump. I think people blaming President Trump, I think, are not analyzing this situation correctly. Yes, did Trump have influence on the election? Obviously, okay? But again, if you have people who are so Trump deranged that they decide to vote based off of some other foreign country's leader, right, and the things they're saying, then again, the people deserve everything that they voted for, right? In this case, things are not going to get better in Canada. They're only going to get worse under liberal leadership. But again, at least they voted for the guy that they thought, right, would stand up to Trump, right? This is what they voted for, and let's see how that works out. I don't think that's going to work out well for Canada, but who knows? Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and
I'm home, man. He ain't playing no games. Shout out to Dave McCormack. 21 gun salute, Dave. It was definitely shout out to Dave McCormack.
Spectricide weed and grass killer kills down to the root and is rain-proof in 15 minutes. Killer outcomes from a brand trusted by millions for more than 60 years. Spectricide, you hold the power.
Today you and tomorrow you aren't the same person. If you're tired of what Today You is doing, get an accounting fundamentals certificate from WGU School of Business and get a whole new Tomorrow You in just 6 months. Enroll today at WGU.
It looks increasingly like Letitia is about to get into a whole lot of trouble. She may be disbarred. She's likely to be out of a job. She says none of this is bothersome to her. No, because you see, she was born to take on Trump for some reason.
I will not fear Donald Trump. I have steel in my backbone. And the reality is, I will not allow this person, Donald Trump, who unfortunately is a broken man, to get in the way of progress and to separate us.
Oh boy, Letitia. You know what? You just keep saying that. You keep saying that. You have no case. You know it. The Court of Appeals knows it, and yet you had this opportunity. Donald Trump actually did something kind of gracious. He offered you the opportunity. He requested that you actually rescind your lawsuit in the spirit of unity. You refused to do that, so guess what? Now you're going to get handed something and more. Just to back up for a moment, everyone, just so you understand, because it's hard to keep track. I know there's like a lot of cases. There's a lot of them. Couple federal. Those both got dropped by Jack Smith. Of course, you had the Alvin Bragg. That one went nowhere, absolutely nowhere. Of course, Alvin Bragg, we're going to get to him in a moment because he's also in hot water, in part because of the Daniel Penny case, but also this one. And then Letitia, well, you also had Fannie Willis. She's about to go to jail, incidentally. We'll get to that. But let's start here with Letitia. Letitia somehow thought that because Donald Trump may have not been entirely accurate in terms of the square footage count of one apartment he had there at Trump Tower, nor the square footage or worth of Mar-a-Lago as far as she saw it, because, you know, she's thinking that the place is worth 18 mil, while he's like, wait a second, it made 56 last year and there's no debt on the property. Why would it be worth only 18 million? Anyway, she's trying to come in between his lender, which in this case was Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank made out like a bandit. They made like some $100 million, so they're not complaining. They said it was one of the best deals they ever did. But she's complaining because she's like, wait a second, you inflated the square footage and you said that Mar-a-Lago was worth X when I really think it was only worth 18, 19 million. And she's somehow insisting here that the numbers don't lie. I mean, she may lie, right? But she's saying numbers don't lie. I'm sorry, honey, baby, you're wrong.
At the end of the day, the documentary evidence demonstrated that, in fact, he falsely inflated his assets to basically enrich himself and his family. He continued to persistently engage in fraud. The numbers don't lie.
Yeah, numbers don't lie. Just you. You're the only one that lies around here, and you're lying because you're trying to help your case. So, again, just to back up, this is the situation where she's out saying, you know, it's worth this, and Donald Trump's like, no, it's worth that. But again, there's no victim in the case. Like, so none of it matters. So when she went to court initially, and the Court of Appeals is about to just send this thing flying, okay, and her reputation with it, already there are calls for her to be disbarred, and that's going to be entertained as a result of this. And when you hear what some of the judges are saying, you can see that they're already saying, wait a second, what do we do when we get some super litigious, crazy person like Attorney General Letitia James? What do you do to curb her influence and this rabidness, right, when she's just trying to target someone so specifically? I say the short answer is you disbar her, and that's how you basically dissuade future DAs, AGs from being so highly politically motivated. Mike Nifong, remember in the Duke lacrosse rape story? I spent like 6 weeks on the ground covering that case. I never, ever believed that woman, not for 1 second. I don't know, I just had this like sixth sense that it was all wrong. Well, he got disbarred. He got disbarred because he got too aggressive in terms of how he was trying to go after those kids. And this is Letitia James' similar situation where she's too aggressive and how she's trying to go after one Donald Trump. It's going to come back to haunt her. But let's go back to the case for a second. This is why the appeals court is throwing it out. David Freeman, one of the judges there on the Court of Appeals, the Second Court of Appeals, is saying, but wait a second, you know what, you're going... saying, well, he inflated the square footage. By the way, it's on Deutsche Bank's. You know, it's the onus is on Deutsche Bank to actually figure out whether the property and the collateral is worth what he says it's worth. I mean, think about when you refinance your house, right? And the bank comes in and they try and figure out how much your house is worth. That's what the bank does. Deutsche Bank is pretty sophisticated at doing that. But David Freeman, this one attorney, this one judge, is like, I'm sorry, the square footage on the place, the bankers testified that was literally the least important factor of everything that they were looking at in terms of how they were going to value this. So why are you hanging your whole case on it, lady?
If you look at what the Deutsche Bank witnesses testified to, Haig said that the financial strength of the guarantor affects the pricing in terms of the loan, and it affects whether the private wealth management group would be allowed to do this deal at all.
Doesn't Mr. Hay testify that there were 14 factors and this was the least important factor?
Well, certainly there are multiple factors that go into the risk assessment, but both for materiality and for disgorgement, the issue is not whether there's only one factor. There's often a lot of factors that are being considered. For materiality, it's whether it's important to the overall total mix of information. And this was absolutely critical to the overall mix of information, not only because they were looking specifically at what the net worth was in order to decide the terms of the loan.
No, it wasn't critical. That's why Deutsche Bank said of the 14 different factors, this was the least important. The least important. Judith Vale arguing on behalf of Letitia, because, you know, once it gets to the appeals court, apparently Letitia's not bright enough to argue in front of the 5 judges at the appellate court. So then David Friedman also says, hang on, you know, like, these are sophisticated parties. It's not like anybody is like some naive kid off the street getting duped. This is Deutsche Bank, for goodness sakes. This is what they do. They are in the business of lending, and they are in the business of evaluating high net worth clients like Donald Trump. Here we go.
Defendant's statements were not meant for ordinary people. They were directed at some of the most sophisticated individuals and entities in business.
Well, if the court wants to use the standard of an objectively reasonable counterparty, sophisticated counterparty, fine. They had a capacity or tendency to deceive the sophisticated party as well, because these misstatements and omissions were about objective facts that were extremely important and that any reasonable counterparty would want to know. Any sophisticated reasonable counterparty would want to know that the defendants were valuing an apartment based on 20,000 square feet more than it really was, based on pretending that rent regulations on certain apartments didn't exist, based on pretending that the Mar-a-Lago restrictions didn't exist. Your Honor asked about that. The trial court was very clear that it was not coming up with a magical valuation for itself. The problem with the Mar-a-Lago valuation is similar to what happened with the rent-regulated apartments.
Steps to a phone plan with no hidden fees. Step 1, open the door. Now walk 9.
You want to know why you're losing? Why you're suffocating in a world that doesn't even blink when you bleed? It's simple. You still react. You still flinch when they jab. You still explain yourself when they spin.
I don't know who it was, but on my way out, I heard somebody yelling that there wasn't school tomorrow. But I don't know if it was a student or a staff member.
That's why you're broken.
I'll call back up there.
You're handing pieces of yourself to people who don't even
I don't think so. Y'all just got there, huh?
When they step on you.
What?
Y'all just came back to school.
No more reaction.
No, but I don't know who yelled it out though.
Probably for the 12th graders or something.
You hear the noise? Let it pass through you like wind through broken windows.
You call back up
they
there
accuse you? Good. Let them. They twist your words? Perfect. Let them paint whatever version of you fits their little storylines. You stay silent. You stay still. You let their words rot in the same place they birthed.
I'll tell you what though, if it was a student that had yelled it, they had sounded exactly like one of the staff members.
Not an explanation.
Yeah, they had sounded just like one of the staff members.
Not a single word. When they come swinging, you don't swing
I
back.
forgot what her name is. It's that one staff member that you said was like that was all fake and stuff. Like when you had like I think you had like your mask on or whatever or something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
They only bring
So if it was a student, that person sounded just like her.
Oh, the girl that said it?
Every time you try to prove
I don't know.
yourself to people who decided who you were long before they even met you. You ever seen a lion argue with a hyena? No. He just stares. Maybe he growls. Maybe he doesn't even bother. Why? Because he knows who he is. He doesn't perform for them. He doesn't answer to them. That's what you gotta learn. The loudest ones, the messiest ones, the ones always in your business, they're the smallest. Inside, they're hollow. Inside, they're praying you'll flinch so they can call it a victory. They're praying you'll scream so they can call you weak. But you go quiet. You turn into a storm that doesn't make announcements. You move like a shadow that doesn't need permission. Silence is heavy. Silence is a sword sharper than any insult. When you stop reacting, when you stop justifying,